Okay, well, greetings everybody. Thanks for coming. Today we have a lecture by our very own visiting Malaysia chair, which is a position we have when we find someone who's worth bringing. The Malaysia chair of Islam in Southeast Asia was endowed probably in the, guessing, late 1990s for the study of Islam in Southeast Asia, particularly with a focus on Malaysia. We've had people from other countries as well. And our current Malaysia chair is Professor Norbani Ismail. She has a PhD in Islamic Studies from the International Islamic University of Malaysia, one of the probably the best known university in the region. And she's currently working on a book monograph that explores the 20th century interpretation of the Quran in Indonesia and Egypt, so a comparison between Indonesia and Egypt. It explores how the exegetes interpret and negotiate and appropriate the Quran on issues related to women, interfaith relations in the religio-political and socioeconomic realities of their context. So today, this talk is based on research you did last year?
Yes.
And probably still ongoing research.
It will be published soon.
Oh, it'll be published soon. Entitled Only Women Understand Women. No comment. Muslim female preachers claiming religious authority on contemporary Malaysia. So please go ahead.
I will be sitting here. Maybe we can have a light for a moment. Thank you everyone for being here, and first of all I would like to thank the ACMCU for giving me the opportunity to give a talk based on my research, and I title it as Only Women Understand Women, Muslim female preachers claiming religious authority in contemporary Malaysia. The first part of the title of my lecture today is the saying that I quoted from one of my preachers that I studied in this research. So from that first part, you will understand probably the significance and the importance of their role in the preaching activity in Malaysia today. So I would move to, I just thought that maybe it is nice to see and to show the Malaysian map. So Malaysia is divided into two, the East Malaysia and the West Malaysia. This is Kuala Lumpur, the capital state. Here is the state that I was born, but I moved to Kuala Lumpur and I lived there for 21 years. The composition of Muslim in Malaysia is 61% of the total population, and 60% of Christian live in the East Malaysia, and basically I would argue that the main language of the Christian in the East Malaysia is Malay language. It is very important to showcase the role of the female preachers in Malaysia, especially in the contemporary Malaysia today. And we can see that...
Sarah, I can do this.
Okay.
You can talk.
That their presence is ubiquitous. I have studied their recorded television programs. I also analyzed their writing in their magazine and newspapers. I also studied their writings about them, and also the recorded lectures, classes that are put in online, for example, in the site like YouTube. So it's very easy to access to what they are doing. So I have chosen three preachers. These preachers is like, how would I say, if you just name them, everyone knows. From the young kids in the classroom, in the cubicles, in farmers market, in night market, in the corporate offices. Everyone knows it. Thank you. I thought it was my doing. I have problem.
Just technical.
Okay. So yeah, so I think if you want to know more about Malaysia, you can always read. So I think, so these are the setting of the lectures that they talk when they preach. So you can see here they're all men, and there should be a woman here. And this is not the subject that I studied. She is one of the many, the newcomers, and also these are newcomers. Okay, this is Dr. Fatma Az-Zahra. I will explain to you who she is. And looks like she is making dua for a group of women. And here is the wife of our current Prime Minister, Madam Rosma. And here is another subject of my study. This is Sharifah Hayati. So I will explain to her who she is. So you can see that this basically in a public setting, a public lecture where everyone can attend, like men and women. So they sometimes address the mixed audience, and not necessarily at the mosque, but can be at a public event. And looks like here also in a very formal setting, so probably it is organized by one of the ministries. And this is the television program. So this one is another male preacher. Okay, so these are the preachers that I studied. I start with Norbani Mahmud. In Malaysia, we like to start our name with Nur. So like my name is Norbani, so Norbani and many other Nurs. So she had a degree in Islamic studies or Sharia and Arabic language from Al-Azhar University. And this is Dr. Fatma Zahra. She has a BA degree in dentistry from Newcastle University. However, she's an Egyptian married to Malaysian and have been living in Malaysia since 1971. She also has told me during the interview that she had a certificate of homeschooling in Islamic studies. I do not know how it works, but that's what she told me. And the third one is Dr. Sharifah Hayati. She has PhD in Siyasa Sharia in Islamic government from Bristol University. But her first degree, BA degree, is in Islamic studies from the local university. So you can see they are their educational background provided some access to the Islamic heritage, and also I think we will talk about how they gain the authority among the public later. So preaching Islam in contemporary time, and I think what I thought that my study could contribute to the genre of preaching is that usually we would hear from the Arab world, men were the preachers to the public. They preach. These are all the public figures, well known. Sheikh Muhammad Mutawalli Sha'rawi is the well-known Egyptian preachers. He lived through the 1998. He started preaching in the 70s, and then he gained popularity and through his lectures, and he was well known. Like I met recently a professor who visited Egypt, that he said the taxi drivers even know him. So everyone kind of know who he is at least. So Amar Khalid, and this is projected by the New York Times magazine in 2006 as the most world famous influential influential television preacher. So I think some people would call him a televangelist. So I do not know how that works. Not works. Okay. So Yusuf Al-Qaradawi, he's also known to talk in TV program and has his views and work known for the Arab-speaking Muslims. So here we are talking about the men preachers talking to the Arab-speaking Muslims. And so how about women's preaching activities? Like these are some studies that have shown the women preachers actually were very active. They have been very active. Sabah Mahmood, in her seminal work, Piety, the Politics of Piety, so she studied these women in the mosque of Cairo. So women teach women about Islam. And it's the same with Hilary Kambach. She also studied the women's preachers who teach other women at the mosque setting. And the latest, I think this is done in 2014, Marim Al-Haytami, she studied at the Murshidat and Alimat in a Morocco setting. So, you can see that the preaching activities, if it is about women, usually we may say that it's limited within the specific premises, like a venue in the mosque. And the men, of course, have a wider audience, may have the ability to address the mixed audience. And I think in the Malaysian context, the fact that the religious authorities invite these women preachers to come to the public stages to talk about Islam, give us an idea how important their work to the Islamic discourse in Malaysia. Are we there yet?
Sorry.
Maybe I shouldn't sit there. I can sit. Thank you.
One thing I learned is never count technology.
Right.
Especially in this room.
Okay, I have can I continue?
Yes.
Okay. So in Malaysia, when we talk about preaching, we cannot disengage our conversation from specific course of history. I'm referring to the da'wah activities conducted by the Muslim students at the universities in Malaysia in the 70s. This particularly, if you know Mr. Anwar Ibrahim, who was also the Malaysia chair of Islam at ACFCU. So that time in the 70s, there was awareness of who are we as Muslim, and this has a sort of there is a link with what happened before. That in 1969, Malaysia had a racial tension, a very well-known called tragedy, May tragedy in 1969, May 13th. So there was a clash between the Muslim Malays and the Chinese Buddhists. The Chinese at that time were believed to have a financial and economic advantage compared to the native, and some hundreds were killed in the city of Kuala Lumpur. And after that, there was this question among the students, activists, like, if we are not economically advantaged, what we have been doing all of this time? What's wrong with us? Why? And so a lot of questions, and basically talking about the identity of a Muslim here. So of course, this dakwah activity, dakwah refers to, in general, is the calling to do good and to prevent harm, right? So this is the general understanding of dawah. But when we talk about dawah in Malaysia, usually in Malaysia in the 70s, started by the student activists, and they usually conduct in a small circle in a classroom. So they talk about different issues of politics and social, and also what was going on outside Malaysia at the time. And dawah also because of the association with the student activists. And also this is very interesting that I think I want to point out that dawah during the 70s and the 80s refers also to the headscarf the women wear. How is it possible something like that happen? So now in the 80s, it was not very common for women to wear full hijab like I'm wearing today. So I remember my mother was talking to her sister, whose neighbor came here to the US to study, and when the daughter came back to Malaysia to visit, she was in a headscarf. And then, they were asking, what is she wearing? Like, why is she wearing different way than our grandmother? That time only grandmother was wearing scarf. Not even my teacher at Islamic school did not wear headscarf. It's just a small. Anyway, so that was a long time ago. Things changed. So that one is usually refers to a piece of scarf that women put on head also. That also, like when someone say, this person is a dawah person, he or she is very active in students' Islamic movement, and also if she is a female, then she wears hijab. She wears a dawah. You mentioned that, yeah.
Quick question. So I might have missed this while I was doing this computer thing, but did you explain that in Malaysian a lot of the things that are ayn in Arabic get rendered as a K?
Okay.
So
yes.
This actually helps a lot if you're reading your Malaysian and Indonesian, and you wonder why it's pronounced dakwah. They don't. The K is like a glottal stop. Right?
Since we have adopted to Romanization of Malay, before that we used the Arabic script to write in Malay, so it's easy to write dakwah instead of dakwah. So anyway, yeah, thank you for pointing that out. And also in Islamization in Malaysia, or Islamization in Southeast Asia in general, can be traced back, way back. In Malacca, it's 1400. We had the Islamic kingdom and so forth. But this recent Islamization in Malaysia, of course, also impacted by the Islamic awareness, Islamic resurgence outside Malaysia in different parts of the Muslim world. What it is in relation to the preaching is that there is a greater role that Islam plays, especially in the public spaces and also in government, in the governance, and so impact the policy and also impact education. I remember when I was in school, in elementary school in early 80s, we had only one period of Islamic class, Islamic instruction. My sister, who went in late 80s, she had like after school Islamic instruction. So there's an increased instruction, and basically Islam played a greater role in all aspects of Muslim life, in all aspects of the Malaysian public spaces. Also, in the 80s, the government also have turned away, many scholars would say that the government would turn away from making the West as the reference and go back to, at least in Malaysia, we have this looked east policy. This is during Mr. Mahathir Mohamad in the 80s, like, looking at the policies, the education, the technological advancement of Japan and Korea at that time, and also some values like respect the elderly and so forth. And because of this da'wah activism and Islamization, there is of course increase of self-identity as a Muslim. So what happened is that there is more demand for halal food. Like for example, the fresh noodle. This is in Malaysian context, this is Chinese food. We know that. But everyone loves to eat Chinese food noodle. This noodle, including the Muslim. So where to get this noodle? To get it from our Chinese noodle makers, or from the Muslim who just know how to eat, not necessarily they know how to make. But during this Islamization, and there are groups like now, like Al-Arqam, now has been banned by the 1995 is banned by the government. So they managed to, because of their understanding of da'wah, is that they managed to provide the services that the Muslim needs during this time. So they produce food and they call it halal. Of course, by that time, there is no certificate of halal yet. And also entertainment, like now, they would want to listen to the Islamic songs, lectures. I remember my oldest brother at the time, he's in his 20s. He would bring sometimes newspaper publishers, Al-Arqam, listen to cassette, audio cassette about death, like, oh, okay. My father said, okay, maybe it's good for you. Because he wasn't interested in much in study. So also dress here, like I said before, our grandmothers would wear hijab. Basically, I'm talking about women because men does not change that much the way they dress. So, but for women, Muslim women, the dress now has changed, but not as much as it changed like today. We still wear our national dress, but with the headscarf. Like I remember my grandmother at that time when I put on scarf. When I was in high school. So me and my sister, why would you put your headscarf on? You're still young and your hair look beautiful. So that was the comment that she made. And also she said it's hot. So the comment is very familiar to hear. And also, of course, we have this Islamic oriented program on TV and radio. So I think I want to move to the Tawliya. Tawliya is a Malay word. It is Arabic word as well. Dr. Rania? So Tawliya is a Malay word for authorization. So preaching in Malaysia very much regulated by the religious administration. So anyone who wants to preach outside his own home must obtain the authorization. And so who actually in Malaysia we have each state has its own Islamic administration. The highest being the Sultan, the ruler, and then the ruler is assisted by the office of two offices. The first office is the Mufti office. The second is the enforcing office. So the state religious council in Malaysia requires that everyone who wants to preach publicly or even at the small zawiyah, small surau, like the place where Muslim would pray, but not necessarily pray the Friday congregational prayer, or at the mosque, or at the schools. Everyone must obtain this authorization. So the argument is that to identify if this person is a qualified person, a legitimate person to preach, and also to regulate and supervises preaching activity. How it does is that one may apply the application, and then the process is that it may be approved, and that once one is given the tawliya, the tax is not necessarily better. But it is still, I want to talk about, like, you still have some limitation as a preacher, what to say and what not to say. So what is the penalty for breaking the rule? Yes.
Oh, I just wanted to ask what constitutes the legitimate preacher? I mean,
you have a very good question. It is a very
sounds contentious.
Yes, I would say it depends on what the committee of the authorization process think about you. Like if you have Islamic studies from any university, then you obviously are able to access to the fundamental sources of Islam, and that's probably. But however, you have a very good question, like how do they manage this process of approval? It may not, but it may involve some politics. Okay. Penalty for breaking the rule depend on from one state to another. But it's the penalty varies. Between or up to 3,000 ringgit Malaysia, or 2 years of imprisonment, or both.
For what?
Or you still can appeal.
For what? I mean, what would be a violation that would cause 2
The
years in
violation
prison?
is preaching without authorization from the State Religious Council. Okay, now I want to show you, these are the examples of the work or the preaching that the subjects have done. So I'll try my best not to make I will escape because I want to use this book. Or we actually have.
If you just click on the link.
Yeah, if you go back to your presentation,
Okay.
go back to the thing. No, you like go put it in the slideshow.
Okay.
And you just go to you should be able to click on the link directly from the next slide.
Okay. So. Okay, so we know that this is Dr. Fatma Az-Zahra. She usually makes the Malay colloquial and English when she talks. So she cannot separate the two. And also because of that, her activities are usually at a private function only, not necessarily at the public event, like attended by the dignitaries, for example. So she told me that usually she is requested by the Western educated young Muslims to have a special class with her. And this is like a weekly class. She has different chapters in the Quran, and she uses a book and so forth. So I would want to show you shortly, because this is like 1 hour, 16 minutes, and she spent the first 10 minutes just to remind the people about how important is the knowledge to one's worship and ritual, and to one's faith and so forth. The usual religious class that you attend, very slow. If a Muslim is impatient, this is not for everyone, I would say. Should I put it?
اللهم لك الحمد كله ولك الملك كله وبيدك الخير
Do you
كله
want to do this?
وإليك يرجع الأمر كله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم اللهم يسر ولا تعسر اللهم اهدنا بالخير اللهم اجعل اجتماعنا هذا اجتماعا مرحوما وتفرقنا بعده تفرقا معصوما آمين 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 يا رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Syukur Alhamdulillah Muslimin dan Muslimat yang saya hormati sekalian, kita bersama-sama semata-mata kerana Allah nak cari ilmu Allah. Mudah-mudahan insya-Allah makin kita berilmu,
Now she's speaking Malay. She's speaking in Malay.
makin kita rapat dengan Allah Subhanahu wa taala. Sabda baginda Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Utlubul ilma minal mahdi ilal lahdi." Carilah ilmu semenjak kamu muda sampai kamu nak masuk ke kubur. Dan baginda Rasulullah SAW nasihat kepada kita semua, la amala illa bil ilmi. Amalan kamu tak naik ke Tuhan without ilmu. Without ilmu, maybe you will be doing the amalan.
Now she makes one sentence Malay and English. So is there any question from the audience? Like if you want to have a question? Yes.
So she's addressing males and females.
Yes, from her audience, from her saying, addressing Muslimin and Muslimat. So in our language means female and male. So yes. Any other question?
On the, so you suggested that she speaks kind of colloquial
Yes.
Malay. So I don't know Malay at all. Is it, I mean, like in Arabic you have a very formal register and a very informal.
Right.
Is it something like that that
Yes,
then makes you
yes.
closer to the audience? Is this something
Yes.
that people appreciate?
So most of the preachers actually, you pointed to the vocabs and the languages used by the preachers, and this is across the Muslim world, and those preachers usually speak the language and use the vocabulary that understood by the public, because the preachers talk and address the public. Yeah. So very informal kind of Malay. I mean, it's not even written Malay.
Is she on television? Live
This
audience?
is in a class conducted by certain group of people, attended by different, by both male and female. And it looks like she has classes and she has particular students. They are both male and female students. And sometimes she used to appear in television also. But I think she used to commute from the northern state of Kelantan to Kuala Lumpur because all of her students are in Kuala Lumpur. And by the way, she is the aunt to Professor Tariq Ramadan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay, so I would want to skip this. So she basically talk about the importance of knowledge, and also the chapter 2, ayah 255 is the ayah of throne, ayatul kursi, describe the power of God and so forth. So now I would want to go to another, yes. Sorry? No, she's a dentist. She was a dentist in the state of
I see. It's with these people, man.
Okay.
Hey, read the sign.
Skip.
Lip.
All right, so this is the second preacher, Dr. Sharifah Hayati. This is in 2014. And this Forum Perdana Ehwal Islam is a very well-known program in state television in Malaysia. I remember my late father used to watch this a lot. It's a weekly program. So here is another male preacher, Dr. Ustaz Kazim Ilyas. So I just want to show to you how they talk about this. So it is TV Satu, is like TV One, is this live program.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam bahagia, salam sejahtera. Alhamdulillah, saudara peminat Forum Perdana Ehwal Islam semestinya di TV1. Terima kasih kerana atas kesudian saudara terus setia bersama kami di TV1 untuk mengikuti.
Okay, I'll skip the introduction. So he's going to say that tonight we have this forum. There are two panelists, and they're going to talk about excellent men. Pria hebat, like excellent man, like man as a male. So I'm going to skip to when she said 10, when she talks, so that you can see. By the way, you notice this is national dress for the Muslim men in Malaysia, with the songkok, the black hat, and Malay. This is a very formal. You can visit the Sultan. This attire, it is acceptable. Yeah. So I would want to show you shortly about what she is.
Sebagai pria terhebat, walaupun nampak priawati ke apa yang lebih ramai ada ya. Terhebat sebabnya daripada lepas maghrib lagi dah ada dekat sini. Mangkali ada yang tak makan pun lagi dah. Yang tak bangun pergi bilik air pun ada, nampak gaya. Bila kita bercakap tentang pria terhebat, maka kita singkap sejarah. Bila kita tengok sejarah, kita fikir mendalam. Makanya kita kata man kana lahu fikrah fa fi kulli shay'in lahu ibrah. So
you can hear that she has quoted why saying, I guess, that when whoever has the idea, then he has the will to do something. So here, Dr. Sharifah Hayati is a professor at a local university, and she's giving the historical exposition of who was the best Muslim during that time. So it's kind of flashing back like the best characters throughout the Islamic history, and how can young men today be able to learn from them. So is there any question? I think I would want to move to the third one. Yes.
Is Islam the state religion of Malaysia?
Uh-huh.
Is it the state religion? And what is the majority follows it? Is the Hanafis?
Oh, okay.
Shafi'i, or what is it?
Yes. The official statement of the practice of Islam in Malaysia is called Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So basically, Ash'ari, theologically Ash'ari, legally and in jurisprudence is Shafi'i, and with some elements of Sufism. Yes, so that is to say that whoever try to interpret Islam outside what has been understood as Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah by the state administration risk of being called not un-Islamic. So I think we can move, and maybe we can talk about it a little bit more.
Dr. Sharifah is the one who had studied at Al-Azhar. She was the one who studied in Egypt.
Dr. Sharifah, she studied her BA in Islamic Studies at a local university. Yeah, but a local university in a way that we studied Islamic Studies in Arabic. Yes,
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
So Norbahia is giving a lecture to her audience purposely for a program in TV9 is cable network or Islamic oriented, so they provide all of these Islamic programs for their viewers. So
It seems to be all women.
sorry,
It seems to be all women.
the
I
audience
don't see any men.
they will show later, but women are in front.
الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني yafqahu qawli. Alhamdulillah, syukur kehadrat Allah Subhanahu wa taala kerana dengan izin Allah, dengan rahmat dan kasih sayang daripada Allah Subhanahu wa taala, masya-Allah, para jemaah Masjid Al-Hasanah Bandar Baru Bangi dapat bersama dengan Ustazah Siti Norbahiyah Mahmud dalam rancangan apa? TV berapa? Pandai murid-murid sekaliannya, semoga kita semua mendapat limpahan rahmat dan barakah daripada Allah Subhanahu wa taala. Demikian juga para penonton yang berada di rumah kerana insya-Allah
She's been very fast. So yeah, so the male audience is at the back actually. So I do not know why such arrangement, but I do not have problem with that. Okay. Let me go back to the so now we want to know why are they in demand, for example, like why the television or radio station give them space and opportunity to talk about Islam. So one thing is that they show the ability to interpret the fundamental text of Islam. You can see that they say the Quranic ayah, memorize them, and not necessarily they are the memorizer of the Quran, but at least they read it well within the rules of the Quranic recitation. And also obviously that at least two of them, I can see the Sharifah Hayati, who studied at the local university, and Dr. Fatima Zahra, because she's Egyptian, because she knows Arabic. And this gives confidence to their audience that these preachers, they actually are able not only to have the ability to access the text, but also to tell the people, probably these people have accessed the right sources. Because there is this idea that someone refers to one work. One is translated work, and the other one is the original work. Of course, the one who refers to the original work has better confidence in disseminating the work. So, however, the preachers have to remember that they have to work. Their work always confined within the religious orthodoxy, I would say, that they have certain limitation what to say and what not to say. First, what not to say is outside the orthodoxy defined by the religious authority. And also, there are some issues that they should not touch. Dr. Fatima Zahra actually said to me, like a whisper, she said she was told by one of the officer who approves the authorization that one thing that preachers should not talk about is the custom of the royal palaces. But I think it is true that the royal or the sultans in Malaysia, you know, in the 1874 when British tried to meddle inside the administration of Malayan Federation at that time, one thing that they somehow allow independence and freedom to the local Malay rulers was matter related to Malay custom, but usually related to the royal courts. And also, so these two things never been touched. And you may ask, why is this an example that, specifically very, very royal practices? For example, during the burial of the dead, there's sometimes they pour the rose water, the fresh rose water over the grave. Like if you ask any Muslim, they will say maybe there's no origin to this practice. But also the way the commoners would greet the royal is with two hands and a little bit flowing. This, of course, anyone who studied Hinduism can relate to it. It's like a puja. Yes. In the 70s, in the 80s, there was a lot of discussion, but I think a lot of times there are things that specifically practiced by the royal families leave them untouched. So,
Sultan, he has any authority? Is he a religious head, or he has other authorities also?
Very good question. Is it just symbolic protector of Islam in Malaysia? That's why in religious administration in Malaysia is a very vertical in structure. The highest is the Sultan, but he does not have any power to issue fatwa. So he has his office, and he's the head of the office, and the Mufti is the second highest authority. So he worked closely with the Mufti in terms of issuing fatwa or anything related. It's very symbolical. For example, when there is a celebration of the Prophet's birthday, for example, so he's invited to show that he is a protector of Islam, and here it is, Islam is fine in Malaysia. So also they have to be conform to these social norms and the Malay culture, like the way if you are talking about Islam, the Malay culture is expected you to wear headscarf or something. You can notice that all the preachers now wear headscarf the way the orthodoxy in Malaysia defines it. This quotation. So why do they preach? So this first one is, you remember the title? Only Women Understand Women, articulated by one of those of the preachers, but also echoed by many other preachers who would say that when they this is a lot to do with how Muslim women in Malaysia juggle between career and being whatever she wants to be, like mom, and so many things that she would want to be. So sometimes they ask male preachers, okay, fine, male preachers say something, but it is not something that the woman would think that they understand the emotional stress that they have gone through with all this juggling and struggling. So you can say here is that there is a significant and important relevance of the work within the Islamic discourse in Malaysia. And Dr. Fatima Zahra, she said, this is more like a religious command for her, like the Prophet. This is based on the Prophet saying that "Balligh anni walau bi ayah, balligh anni walau bi ayah," convey from me even with one verse or one thing. So it's for her as a motivation, a command that she would want to do that. Preachers also set as an example, a real life example for many other, especially women, because they are all mothers, like Sharifah Hayati and Norbani Hayati, because they are younger, they are in 50s, and they have been doing this preaching for the past 15 years, so that time their children are still young. So sometimes they had to negotiate and navigate how to manage all of these preaching activities outside home, and also to make sure that families are taken care of. But Malaysia is a very conservative society, especially among the Muslim. There are some people who think that the gender-based domestic labor division. So a lot of time, women who work outside feel the pressure to juggle it all. So, Norbani said that she's talking to all her audience, both men and women. We have to change this almost abundant behavioral expectation difference between boys and girls. But almost abundant. I didn't grow up that way. My father made everyone do the chore. So she said that because of that, the young boys grew up know nothing about working at home or helping with chores, and so we have to change that. Usually you will hear from women preachers more than men preachers. Also, the preaching activities in Malaysia is financially and logistically supported by the Islamic administration. So things, in this way, things are facilitated for them to do their work, and almost that they have gained the trust from the authority, religious authority, because of their work, because they are able to convey, because of their conforming to the religious orthodoxy, social expectation. Now they gain trust from the authority. Of course, there is support from that. So these are among the things that we have to understand that a lot of time in Malaysian context, preaching now has been reduced to, for example, dimension spiritual purification. So the role of zikr, this supplication, Quran role in one's life, for example. This is how the Malaysian children learn how to recite the Quran. Not necessarily they know the meaning of the text that they are reciting, but they are able to recite with the perfect rule. So it looks like there's a teacher here, and that's the teacher. Okay. And this is a very Malaysian, I would say. This is the celebration of the prophets. The celebration of New Year, Islamic calendar. So you see this Ma'al Hijrah. I don't know why we call it Ma'al Hijrah. Because Hijrah is the migration of the prophet from Makkah to Medina. But so this is the minister of at the department of the Prime Minister office. This is basically Kuala Lumpur. You can see this British type of building, the main street. Basically, what they do, they parade 4 hours and chanting the praises to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu. Yeah, so they all wear their lay dress except the Mufti. So he's the Mufti. Okay. And also, of course, female preachers, such a cliche, they have to talk about family issue. This is like a rumahku syurgaku. They were to come and talk about baiti jannati, my house is my paradise, and towards the family filled with tranquility, love, and affection. In fact, it's mawaddah wa rahmah, the 2 words used in the Quran. So they have geared toward creating, because we have a lot of social issues, just like many other societies and so forth. So it is only relevant that they talk also about hijab. Okay, I talk partly about hijab and how it came to Malaysia. So back then, you can imagine that those who are educated about Islam wear the full headscarf. So my grandmother used to wear like this. This is in fact sarong. This is a shawl. So when she go out, she will wear this. This is sarong, also long skirt, and she would if she passed by some crowd, and she would put her head, and that's grandmother's. So Malay girl in Penang at that time. And this, of course, you can see the young men. I assume that they are high schools. So you see, they wear this type of scarf. Like I used to wear this type also when I was in high school. So like a bandana type kind of thing. So of course with long shirt. And here, these are celebrities. That's why they're colorful. But in general, people wear colorful scarf. So you can. This is in the modern time. In fact, I give you an idea. If you want to make money, you sell headscarf. Really, like a woman who wants a Muslim woman who wear hijab would want to have. I don't know. Maybe like never mind if she doesn't wear all of them, but she will want them. So they talk about. The issue is that things have changed, and they see people wear different headscarf or different styling. Like, what is going on? Tell us what is it? Hijab. Like, so they would emphasize. Of course, the preachers would want to talk from the perspective of jurisprudence, like what it is. Like, you must make sure that you cover, be decent. Emphasis is on the essence, not mere the form, and so forth. So I would like to this is the recent competition of the preachers. These are the contestants. They are about to announce who's the winner. So these are the programs that are trying to identify the up and coming preachers in Malaysia. I mean, they do it both for men and women. Sometimes they contest. The contestant consists of men and women, and sometimes men or women. They are tested in their knowledge about Islam and so forth, and the ability to communicate. Of course, you don't want to be boring if you want to be listening, right? Okay, so this is. They believe that their role is complementing to the role of the male preachers. So a lot of time they don't care if they are not, for example, at the highest hierarchy of the religious authority, because that defies the idea of talking about Islam and making people closer to God. For them, preaching is not politics. So stay out of that politics of leadership. So this is actually Chinese Muslim who converted maybe 20 years ago. He's a very well-known Dr. Ridwan T. So in Malaysia, most of the time, there is a conversion. They would change their non-Muslim name to Muslim and put some like Ridwan or Ahmed, Muhammad, and then he retained his last name as T. Okay, so the significant roles and the relevance of the female preacher is that they are able to empathize. That's why we hear only women understand other women. Not that the female preachers do not probably advise them in this way, but it's nice to hear from someone who's actually going through that. And also for the female preachers, it's important to show that their activism is actually good for the woman, in the sense that as a preacher I can juggle and between my activism and my family, so the rest of you Muslim women in Malaysia, you too can do the same, and you should not abandon one at the expense of the other. And also this is very interesting, I would say, that by behaving the way they are, the way they talk, the way they say things, their opinion shape actually the identity of the Muslim in Malaysia. Like if a Malaysian woman would want to be a Muslim today in today's world, so the life of the preachers can be the real example. And the last one is that the fear of over-commercialization of preaching. How do I say that? Like, we may be, these preachers may be susceptible to being used as marketing products, which some of them already being used to or using, they themselves using it. So the biggest question is, what's next? Like, is it good? We wait and see. Maybe in 10 years we will know what is the repercussion of all of this. So I thank you for listening.